Oh, it was Tom Waldrop. I hadn't seen him in ages. I met two guys last night at the concert, Bob Orr and Tom Waldrop, go back to college days. And Tom worked at the Magic Pan, which was a dessert place on Winchester. And he learned after going to a table and saying, "We can't hear you, please turn it up," that he did turn it up, and people started talking louder. Because why are they there? They're there to eat. They're there to socialize. They're there to be bathed in the ambiance of the Magic Pan. It was wonderful. I so miss it. Their dessert crepes were did that for. So you need to consider that whatever the situation is what it is. And you're there to fulfill a function for which you've been hired and are being paid. And that function may not be to listen to you. It may be to appreciate you and that you are there. And it may be that it's a concert. For example, I gave a concert recently with a flute player, my duet partner, and she's the principal flute of the Folsom Lake Symphony. And so she's extremely good, and she has very expensive equipment, and she likes to use it. So when she puts that flute to her mouth and blows, she's trained to project out into a 300-seat hall or an 800-seat hall, and not the house concert that we were at. So I knew I'd have to amplify it. And I brought this little guy, and I brought this. And what it is, it's a AT condenser microphone with a little L mic. It has an adapter for your guitar. And I plugged into this. It still wasn't loud enough. You know, I shot a video of the concert, and she overpowered me. I was, you know, it was a box. In other words, narrow roads going way back. And you don't want to blast the people in front of you. And this is one of the concerns that you have. For example, in the restaurant that I play at, it's a large room with speakers coming from the ceiling. And as I said, people are there to dine, fine dining. There's another banquet room, and there's outside, and it's all amplified, the house PA. So somehow what you want to do is tap into that PA so that it's balanced. So long cable runs require XLR pickups, or XLR wires. This is the three-prong format. Your guitar cable won't do it. So I had to, first of all, I had to adapt to the venue. And I got this guy, which is a small mixer with XLR outs, as opposed to just quarter-inch. And then I send that way into the ceiling, way across the whole building. It comes out of the ceiling into their amp. And every time I go there, the second Saturday of the month, I've got to put on some music so that I can walk around and go, this is okay. By the way, I have something that's compatible with my show. My show being solo guitar, nylon string, primarily classical with a lot of crossover. But I found that this particular CD, and anything really similar, this is Solid Air Records, Henry Mancini pink guitar, won a Grammy, bunch of different guitarists, but one track after the next is something compatible with the environment that I'll be playing in. Let me drop a track or two. This is Lawrence Tuber. So people come in, they like that immediately. Gotta keep the people happy. And the next one, we're going to talk a little bit about reverb. The next one is a good example of sound that has air. And the pickups are going to be very bone dry. We have to add some space. Listen to this. This is Ed Gerhardt. continually put out your product why you were hired, which is music. You can't have big, long spaces and gaps where people are left with this awkward silence, you know? But you're just creating this ambiance. It's call it a casually elegant ambiance. Tell you a bit about my rig, which, as I said, I've been doing this a long time. I've worked hard to chase tone. And having been a classical guitar major, I've been, you know, going for that Segovia sound, the good tone. And that's what you want to represent. So you don't want it to be plinky or tacky or plasticky or bright, sharp. For example, people may not really appreciate what you're doing, and they may be appreciating what they're doing, which is talking to each other. And there's this chatter coming in out of the speaker. It's what happens to be right. The speaker placement may or may not be fortunate for the diners. So just focusing on the restaurant casual business for a minute. So what you need to do is keep your tone and your trebles tamed. And there's some things that I've got going here, which I'll explain, that help a great deal. So, we'll break it down first. We have a pickup. So, how about I just play you a tune real quick, and then we'll make some comments. Some tone, and we can make comments about it. For my ears, it seemed a bit bright. So that's just something that I can control. Let me tell you a little bit about the gear. this happens to be a radio from home. It works beautifully as just an output device from something. It's just an RCA in. And it has a certain kind of quality. Every amp is going to have some character. I've turned off the, I happen to have a little wireless speaker here and a Fender Mini Passport. So this is just unadulterated tone, unaugmented tone. Right? That's kind of dark, which is good because I mean I'm a cedar classical guitarist, and I want that. Now that tone is being influenced by the signal processing. So I'll tell you about the signal processing. As I said, I happen to be set up for the restaurant right now, as opposed to say a concert. Barkus Berry. Ever heard that name, Barkus Berry? If you go back far enough, it was one of the popular early pickups, along with Frapp and maybe a couple others I don't remember, but it's mounted here in Campbell. C.B. Perkins put it in. It's just a tiny little strip about that long, and that's it. And so somehow that technology of translating or transforming movement of the top into electrical current is amplified. And that's what you got to work with. So it takes the character of your guitar and this is the natural sound of a 40-something-year-old guitar. And it moves it along. Now, if it doesn't move it along purely, I should say, if it does move it along purely, you're going to get some fluctuation in the frequency spectrum. It can sound plasticky. So what I do to tame that signal, because it's not all that good, and what we have today, the Barbera, the Cremona, and K&K, these pickups are just better, are some gear. And I used to use a preamp made by LR Baggs, and it's still available. It's very good. It's a direct box, meaning you can plug into it with a 1/4 inch and it takes an XLR out to a PA. But it also has notch filter and EQ and phantom power. So I was using that, and to provide phantom power I was using a small art tube preamp. And both of these things took up a little space. But I've since found this, and I got it online at some store here in the San Jose area, Acoustimax, acoustic instrument preamp. And what it has, I had also been using something called a BBE sonic maximizer. It has that built in, so this is another model, but it also has notch filter, which the other one had. No, it didn't. It didn't. And it has bass, middle, and treble, and 3 different outs, including XLR and a tuner out and a guitar out, 1/4 inch. Has a mute button, so it's handy. So when you're playing, as I might be at least once a month, 3 hours, there's no way you're just going to sit there and play for 3 hours. And I found that the most important thing for me is to keep my body going, and my hands need to, be functioning. And if I get tired or they hurt, I'll just hit that thing. And people don't know; they think that's me. So that's all right. So This piece of equipment ran about $150, and it replaced the other two that I mentioned, the LR Baggs Paracoustic DI and the Art 2 preamp. It has tone shaping, and remember I said a minute ago, it seemed a bit bright to me. Increase, decrease. So you want some sort of utility to change your sound so that when it comes out of the speakers, it's the way you want it to sound, which is natural, at least if you want natural sound. You want it to be not too bright, full, and have some low end, but not be overpowering. You have to, I mean, there's volume and there's tone. Technology for the sonic maximizer is, it makes it sound more like a microphone. And here's the deal. When you have a guitar with its high notes and its low notes and everything in between, they don't all come out of the PA at the same time. So without the sonic maximizer, you get, do you hear there's something about that that just, it just sounds not completely 100% natural. This may not be 100% natural, but it has a little bit more realism. And what they've done is they've taken the signal and they've delayed certain parts of it and advanced certain other parts, which is controllable on this unit. I can increase the bass part. I've just done that. It's getting a little booming. And I can advance the treble and I can take that out. So it's something that you can use to make your sound whatever you want, which is more naturally as Steve.
So that does it not by changing the volume of the different, or equalizing the volume of the bass treble, but by changing the speed at which the sound of the bass and treble
when it's delivered from the more or less quality PA that or speaker that you're working with. Now, do you hear that tail? Yeah. Now, if we were all talking, and I was in the corner in my living, and you're talking and I'm playing and it's going on, you're not going to hear that tail so much. No, I just increased it. I have an output here. Well, that is this bad boy, the Blue Strip. It's a rack mount lexicon. It's known for their reverbs. And that is really handy. It's got a lot of presets and then factory sets and then user presets. So we can agree that that's too much, you know. Right now, it's too much. But, I mean, if everybody was talking, you know, this, that would be drowned out. So you have to adjust to whatever room you're in. Let's go on with other gear here. Let me back that guy down. So this is a portable, battery-powered amplifier. It just takes 3 C cells, and it puts out a good amount of volume. It has a XLR in. It has presets for tone. It has reverb. I think it ran me about like 130, something like that. So you notice notice that it sounds a bit brighter? You know, it has a tone. Let me, back it. So now I've got the bows, right? I've got this. And you can use the two because you will need something to monitor yourself with or fill in the space that you're around. You can use that as a tone control for the overall sound. See how it's getting bright? Actually, that's set in the middle. It's middle tone, but it just happens to be a brighter sounding amplifier than the Bose. I'm giving it such a strong signal, it's overloading in the lower volume. This guy is just, I'm doing this, what's this?
Power off.
This is a wireless speaker,
Power on.
Bluetooth,
Auxiliary input mode.
has a auxiliary input mode. And so that's a stereo mini plug from your headphone, or rather your phone, your MP3 player, your cassette player. I use cassettes, but I'm using an adapter, 1/4" stereo, to feed that, and let's see what it sounds like. Now, if that was all I had, I'd say, well, that's a bit bright, so I'm gonna go to my tone control, darken it. That's better. But in conjunction with something more powerful, or I'm at the restaurant and all the speakers are running, I can use that as a monitor. Let me tell you something. There's a hazard, and I put it at the bottom of the sheet that you're looking at. It says break music. Oh, just above break music. No, be careful of your hearing. Average dBs at the restaurant has been well over 100 at times. So I've taken out my phone and I have an app that is a SP level. It's a free app. Check 1, 2, check, check. See, it's moving right now. It's that simple. Just have it so I can look at it. OMG, I'm well over 100, and it's because this noisy table around me and all this sound around me. And it's not just my playing. So the average dB, so right here where I'm talking, is, well, the max was 104.9, so almost 105. And the minimum was 13. Well, the average is 90, right here where I'm talking. Well, the average was like 104 or 105 in this restaurant situation. And that will fatigue your ears entirely now. And I have ringing in the ears, which I can't do anything about from a lifetime of playing. So word of caution.
Do you put earplugs in or something?
Well, I do at the movies because it's insane.
Yeah.
Yeah. In the world.
Except on the parts you really want to hear.
Yeah.
That's when they speak quietly.
We went to the Lux Theater recently, and they bring your dinner. That's their deal. And poor waiter comes in and he's kneeling down and it's dark and he's got this iPad that's blinking up at him and he's trying to take our order and the previews are coming on. He's trying to hear what we're saying. I said, "This is hard on your hearing, just you know." And he says, "Yeah, I can't see after a while." And I go home with it. You know, there's other kinds of work you can find. Now, as I said at the beginning, by the introduction, I want it to be kind of a shootout, so we have to get some more variety. So I have one more piece of equipment to tell you about, and that's the DDX Go Rack. The Go Rack is sending the signal out to the mixer. In other words, the guitar amp, the preamp, the Acoustimax, is going to the DDX Go Rack, which is going to the mixer, okay? And so is the CD player. So there's always sound, whether I'm playing or I take a break. But the Go Rack is meant for easy mute. That's the least of its strengths. EQ. There are a bunch of presets, and I just found the one that suited my instrument best, and its shortcomings and strengths. It has a sub-synth, which I don't use, but the other day I saw a concert where a guy was definitely using it. You hear how low that is? I'll take that off. Put it back on. I have it on really, really light. What it does is it creates a sub-frequency that's an octave below. So let's say you're playing something that you really want to enjoy the low frequencies. You know, when can you get that out of just an acoustic guitar? The low frequency is your friend. I mean, it can be. It can give you part of that rich, warm, strong character that you want. And it has anti-feedback and a compressor. What's a compressor? Basically, it tames the stronger parts and boosts the weakest parts, and it's adjustable. Okay, moving on. This was the Barkus Berry. We also have a Cremona, and we have Jerry's guitar. And let's start with Jerry's guitar. Why don't you grab the guitar?
That's the pickup right there.
It is the actual saddle. So we look to the player to find out, you know, what do you want? What do you want? What do you like? What don't you like? Fix it. Make it so that you're happy.
Yeah, so it's to me, it's pretty bright. So I would,
I took the treble down.
when I first started with Terry,
Yeah.
I had an Ovation We had, we had gigs that, we played out at the Mirasu Winery for dinners and all kinds of stuff, so we had to have amplification. And I hated that guitar. It felt like, being a clarinet player, it felt like I was playing on a toy clarinet, but it was the best thing I found.
What year was that era?
Must have been in the 70s, 80s, somewhere in there.
Plastic back?
I was really happy to get rid of that Ovation.
Is that the one with the plastic back?
Yeah, you couldn't hold it either. It would
It
just kind of
slide
slip.
right out.
It had a round back, it just didn't feel like a guitar. It was weird. And I've used microphones, and that works, on different occasions.
Let's focus on that point for just a second and hook up that lapel mic to your guitar so that you can have the A-B comparison. And I have it. Didn't I bring it over here? Yes, I did. So you take a lapel mic and you get the instrument adapter. It has felts, it won't hurt the finish of the guitar. And again, it's just a lapel mic for speaking. And it goes right here. So now what we have to do is, of course, we have to connect it to our PA. And you need a microphone cable for that. But the microphone cable preserves the quality of the signal. I'm going to go direct into the PA so that we can just hear that sound. It comes with a little battery, belt clip.
What is this going to be doing that I didn't have before?
That will that's just the pure sound. I've taken out the reverb. That's a microphone sound. And microphones just get better what's happening in the air, as opposed to pickups, which are taking, it's not air, it's flexing of the wood and the bridge in whatever configuration. Remember, mine is mounted on the treble side of the bridge inside. This is the saddle.
So this wasn't working at all. It was just all from.
Yeah, I took it off. And you can blend it.
Mhm.
So let's bring in some blend and reverb. That sounds like a nylon string guitar. It doesn't sound like a steel string guitar. And it's a blend. And what the mic has done is enhanced. I'll take it out completely. So the mic gone, mic back. It gives some additional high end and clarity and definition.
So what we were hearing before, when you said that sounds like a nylon string guitar, was a mix of what's coming through his Barbera?
I think I just said that after I made the change, but let's go back to just the mic. Go ahead and play a little bit, Jerry. This is just the mic. You hear that? So now we'll take that out completely. That's the real guitar. Now we'll bring in the pickup only. Now we'll bring in the mic. so I'm not gonna add any brightness there. So what's the takeaway so far is that these are all modifiable and tweakable to your taste.